Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. How's everyone doing? All right. You had a good lunch too? So it was delicious. So thank you to the workers and Mother Earth who made that lunch available for all of us. So good afternoon again. Thank you so much for being here and for all the work you do towards a more sustainable and equitable community. I hope that you're enjoying the conference. And my name is Mario Garcia Sierra. I work for Madison Gas and Electric. I'm the newest director of a small unit called Residential and Community Services. The main area of our work is promote energy efficiency and conservation and new technologies so that families across our community can save energy at home and also learn about new technologies. So it's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you today, building our social change ecosystem. And thank you, Claire, and everyone at Dane for bringing us together to reflect and learn about our roles in our journeys towards social change. And please note that we are proud and happy to partner with you. And at MG&E, we are your community energy company. We make sure that you have the lights on, but we also make sure we send you a bill every month. And I'm happy to share that MG&E was one of the first utilities in the nation to commit to achieving net zero carbon electricity by 2050. And we're growing our use of renewable energy and working with our customers and partners to save energy and advance sustainability goals. So I was happy to see the mayor here, the county executive, talking about their goals, sustainable goals, because we are partnering with them in other cities to help them advance their sustainability goals as well and clean energy goals. So if you haven't, please stop by our table out there. There are some of us there from MG&E, and we're happy to talk about how you can save energy in your apartment, at home, if you're thinking about electric vehicles, if you have a small business or a business, we have information and resources for you there too. But now, I'm really excited, happy, and proud and I hope that you're excited too for this next portion of our program today for the 22 Live Forward Our Ds. And they are all here in front of you. And we have a group of 7 middle schoolers from Patrick Marsh Middle School. I have a 7th grader too, so this touches my heart. And also Damante and Fernando from the Madison Community Cooperative, and Yi Luis Liu from Collar. So they're gonna share with you a lot of stuff, but now I'm gonna call for Valora Gutierrez from Sustain Dane, and she will lead us to the next portion. Thank you so much again, and I look forward to working with you all.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Thank you, Mario, for the introduction. So I am Valora Gutierrez. I am the Efficiency Navigator and Outreach Specialist at Sustain Dane. Each year, I lead the Live Forward Award process, and the annual Live Forward Awards acknowledge dedicated change makers and leaders who promote thriving sustainability, community healing, as well as resiliency. This year, we received 12 nominations from the community. All nominees demonstrated an exemplary commitment to holistic sustainability and are doing incredible work locally. Past LFA awardees and Sustain Dane board members voted to select the 2022 awardees. I'd like to share a brief video celebrating all of the nominees. Then we'll have the opportunity to talk with the awardees. So thank you all for joining us in recognizing the innovation happening in our neighborhoods. All right. Well, now we can begin our panel. So I just wanted to thank you all so much for coming and spending the time with us at Sustain Dane. And I would love just to go down through our awardees and hear a little bit of an introduction to your work, what you do, as well as yourselves.
All right. I was told to hold the mic close. Hope this is working. My name is Fernando Perez. I use he, him pronouns. I did work at Madison Community Cooperative with DeMonte and actually one of our close friends, Skygia, for quite a while. But I've recently transitioned to the Tenant Resource Center, which is across the hall from MCC, so we're not far. And I just wanted to plug the TRC. We are looking for people, and if anybody's not aware, Dane County has a lot of CDBG funds, which are community development block grant funds that are available to people who are like facing eviction or houselessness, behind on rent, maybe forward rent, whatever it is. Please tell everyone you know. A lot of those funds do expire at the end of the year, and one of my main things is making sure other people are housed. So I wanted to let you know.
Hello? Oh, hi. My name is DeMonte. Just on the video at Worker Madison Community Cooperative. Use he, him pronouns. And this has been really informative today. Hearing about the various things going on in our community, because a lot of times we only think about the stuff that we're doing because it's our everyday going to work or, some folks may be doing their hobby stuff, but it's awesome to see that there's a lot going on, and I feel like there's a lot of places where we can come together still to help support Dane County and making sure that it is here for us now and for future generations.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Louis Thill. My pronoun is he, him. I am a sustainability project engineer, recently joined the Kohler company, the power system side of the business, as a sustainability project engineer. So my role involves mainly two pieces. One is to help the business understand what are some of the direct and indirect emissions associated with our product, trying to set scope 3 goal for between now and 2035 and come up with some reduction strategy and help implement them. The other side of my role is probably more like the experimenter and the weaver side, is to create workshop to help people brainstorm how do you design for the environment from a new product production perspective. So leading different design for environment workshop to bring cross-functional team through a global and hybrid environment with Kohler Associates. Prior to joining Kohler company, I worked for a general contractor called CG Schmidt as an MEP engineer. So in addition to working in the pre-construction, helping with estimating and budgeting and working with mechanical, electrical, plumbing contractor, I also help lead environmental corporate responsibility team to implement some of the strategy. For example, like enrolling the solar program for our Madison office, helping both office achieve a WELL health and safety rating certification. And a little background of my point of entry, where I was coming from. I was made in China, born and raised. Growing up, came to U.S. to pursue a mechanical engineering degree at UW-Madison. That's what brought me here. And passion for sustainability finally led me to an opportunity to explore a career path, focusing full-time on the topic that is very meaningful to myself. And the community that I serve primarily include two community right now. I'm a volunteer with U.S. Green Building Council as an emerging professional ambassador for Wisconsin. What it means is I'm trying to build a network for emerging professionals that are exploring their career path in sustainability to organize volunteering event, networking opportunity for people to grow their connection in this realm. Another community that I serve, more recently, I kind of came out of the workplace as a proud gay man and sharing my personal journey, come to term with my orientation and how to navigate myself through a career as well as my identity at the workplace, and sharing my story and joining the leadership team with the Cola Proud, which is a business resource group at the Cola company to support more than 150 members globally, and as well as engaging with other community business in Madison and Wisconsin to share our story of how do you run a business resource group and how can we build collaborative opportunities together. So just want to say really appreciate the opportunity to receive the nomination and be named along so many awesome individuals as well as student groups who are doing awesome things in our community. So thank you for having me.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So we'll just go around down and say our names. We are all representing Patrick Marsh Middle School, the 2021 school year. We had a whole new high school open, and we all are actually at different schools now. So I am Angela Rivera, and I was the lead teacher.
My name is Rocky Lee.
Miss Maddie.
My name is Andra.
My name is Jackie.
My name is Soraya.
And I'm Aaron.
And like I said, we're from Patrick Marsh Middle School in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, so not too far away. And these are all current 8th graders now, and I can't tell you how incredibly proud I am of them. So we had so many students involved in this project, over 70 of them, and these 6 that are sitting up here, and they don't really know this, at some point during the project, they did something that showed me leadership and project management around the work that we did, or that their writing showed their passion for sustainability. So when I thought back of our project and reflected, I was like, I need to bring these 6 students with me. So I wish I could bring all of 70 of them, but that would be a little too much. So they're all here with us today, and they're going to share a little bit about our project in just a moment, but I want to just share that this project was supported through a Civics and Environmental Education Fellowship with the North American Association of Environmental Education, and was funded through a grant with World Wildlife Fund. So we know as sustainability-minded folks that reducing food waste is one of the top priorities addressing climate change. So we know that within our school, if we could address that and do something about it, we can make a big difference within our system and at our scale. So the next 3 students are going to share about that project if you don't know anything about it. But we are so honored to actually be an awardee up here with people who are doing work at such a big scale and making such a bigger difference than what I feel we might be doing, but we're doing something, and they did such an amazing job taking action within the school.
To analyze the state of food waste at our school, our group of students completed 12 food waste audits, 6 in the fall and 6 in the spring. During this time, we would sort any food uneaten by students into categories to see what was being wasted. We also interviewed students to find out why they were not eating their food. From the fall data, we collected 406 pounds of food waste, auditing about half of the lunch periods over 6 days. The highest waste stream we had was unopened/donatable food and fruits and veggies. From our interview data, we found out that the main reason why people didn't eat their food was because they didn't like the item. This process taught us how to collect data and analyze qualitative responses.
With this data, a group of students was dedicated to finding solutions. We broke into small groups to complete various tasks to accomplish this. Some of our actions included developing an awareness campaign by making posters, doing announcements, developing student pledges, and creating bulletin boards. Another group focused on creating a food share table. A food share table is a place within the cafeteria where students can put unopened, prepackaged food that they do not want to eat on, and other students can take those items to eat. When there were leftover items on the table, our community schools coordinate working to bring these to student families and back to students as snacks. This involved reading health department guidelines, purchasing materials, providing communication to students, and convincing our food service director to agree with the pilot program. The next group worked on trying to investigate our lunch options. We found that the school with supply chain issues did not have very many options for choosing what foods were being served, but they did make some meals from scratch and allowed taste testing. This group also surveyed students on what foods they liked most in the cafeteria. The last group started on-site composting for fruits and vegetables. Through this process, we learned behavior change management strategies, communication skills, and how to collaborate with others around a shared goal. Through these changes in our school, we found from our second round of food waste audits in the spring about a 60% reduction in wasted food.
We did a lot of work in our schools to reduce food waste, but we didn't stop there. We also worked with the City of Sun Prairie to support learning for its first compost bin sale, which sold out. To do this, we researched the best practices in composting. We took that learning to host a compost presentation at the Sun Prairie Public Library. We wanted to make sure future composters were successful in their actions. The last part of our project was developing Earth's-friendly games and activities that we got to run at the Sun Prairie Farmers Market. This allowed us to reach many community members, and spread awareness for sustainability and food waste reduction. We thank you for recognizing our success at our school last year, and we are honored to be up here with these amazing awardees as youth. We also wanted to share that there were many other students involved in this project, and would also like to thank NAAEE, WWF, Scott from the city, Catherine Walker, Mr. Bryan, PMMS staff, custodial, admin, food services team, Mr. Mon, Mrs. Bembenek, and Mr. Swisdorf for helping us make this project possible.
Thank you all again for those wonderful introductions to all the positive impacts you're making in the community. And I know that, this does make such an amazing difference, but I think we'd all really would love to know a little bit more about what you personally enjoy the most about the work you're doing. I guess we can start, down this way.
So I think first thing is I'm a transgender Latinx and Polish individual here. Let's get real. I have a very diverse group of friends and best friends, and I really care about racism. Racism is why a lot of these problems are happening. I think there are a lot of folks who aren't considering the impact that things like gas stoves and indoor air quality has on children and on the families that live there. And it's more often than not that poor quality housing is basically forced upon black and brown people. So when I stayed at MCC a very long time until I was like, oh my gosh, my back, I'm done. I can't do construction anymore. But also, I stayed because I felt like I could make a difference in a realm of my life I really, really care about, which is just trying to change the community around me to see what I see and what so many of my friends see, which is a very unjust society. And I'm very thankful to hear that the city of Madison is doing so much, and that everyone here is doing so much, because at the end of the day, you are affecting a system, an institution that has and continues to damage people's lives. And I know we've worked in affordable housing together now, and I'm working for what is essentially a gigantic tenants' rights union in Madison. It's great. It's a good time, everybody. But I think sometimes we forget that even the slightest thing that all of us can do makes such a huge impact. It's working together, and it's recognizing our common cause, which is to affect things like racism and transphobia and homophobia, and to realize that they're so interconnected. And I think that I know we've done a lot of work. We know Abby. I don't know where Abby is right now, but she's around here somewhere. Yeah. I think it's really great to affect housing. Like I like specifically to focus on housing and affordable housing and talking to people about what they can do to maybe make their homes safer or better, or, I want to understand, like, the city, we need to have a bigger conversation about the fact that affordable housing can also mean quality housing. Quality and safe. Seriously. Thank you.
Yeah, excuse me. Why did it, sorry, I just totally blanked on what I was going to say. Yes. There we go. I think for me, like, it started out with probably when I got the job at MCC. I had worked in student housing as a housing director at 2 universities, one in Wisconsin, one in Illinois, and then I didn't really know what a co-op was when I first got the job. It was a big learning curve for me, and then I saw a lot of the similarities in the things that I had been doing before. Except for this time, it was getting to work on, for this nonprofit side, to really see what ways we can help people. I felt like as I got to learn more about the cooperative movement and the opportunities that it gave to empower the folks that were living in these houses to be able to have a greater say on their house side as well as for the organization as a whole, and to help further its mission. And I see where a lot of places that could be beneficial across their community, as folks are starting to look for various ways of various forms of housing. As we talk about, there's a lot of conversation about affordable housing, and this could be a really good model for that. It doesn't always have to be like apartments that have cheaper rent, or trying to build new homes that have cheaper prices. Sometimes it's coming together as a community, which we all need some part of that community to come together and help, whether that's raising at in the middle of life, end of life, like, also helping with raising children. Like in our cause, we do have families that live there and raise their children there, and it definitely gives them that village. Like the saying goes, takes a village to raise a child, and so they get to have, whether that's just 4 other people or up to 30 other people, that their kids get to grow up around and have, different experiences and have all those influences in their life, and have them grow to be leaders in the community. Also, I think I forgot in my introduction, but just like looking at what ways can we take, because a lot of our houses are a little older, so it's definitely been looking at the ways to make them more sustainable and a little bit more green for the future. Also in like renovation projects and things, like 2 of them that we've been deeply involved in is how to keep a lot of it out of the landfill. A lot of times when people do these renovations on houses, they tend to just gut them out and throw everything into a big dumpster and have it hauled away. But like in one of our houses, we managed to save a lot of the trim work and a lot of the panels that have a lot of beadboard paneling. We kept a lot of that stuff and reinstalled it once it was there, because then it not only does it give the house its character from 1900 or the 20s or 30s, it also is keeping that out of the landfill and not having that just be piles of garbage. And so it was really awesome to see that when it starts to come back together, because it's preserving our past. Like I think about back in the day, people weren't just using machines, they were handcrafting a lot of that stuff. So all those hours that gone into that work is not just being thrown away, it's actually being still appreciated over 100 years later. So I think I've learned so much about construction, about the various things that have gone on in this community, what all of you guys are doing in your work, and as well as what stuff is going on amongst the state as well and the country. because it's led me down to do a lot more research about things and really take the time to learn about the various movements going on across the world and nation and the world, and seeing what we can do to replicate some of that, as well as people have reached out to us to try to replicate the things that we're doing so that they can be spread out across the world and help out. So that's what makes me ask.
Zone. To answer your question, what I enjoyed about my work, I think in a similar note, is about finding a place that you can serve for a community on a value that you believe in, right? And it's about matching up with your strength with the responsibility that you're going to take on. So I think what is bringing me satisfaction stepping into this newer role is to be able to combine my strength and passion for solving engineering problem with a focus on sustainability. That I get to work with cross-functional team. I get to work with a lot of people, even though they are all experts in their own area, but I can take a moment and host a workshop to bring everybody together, saying now this hour, let's talk about how do we design for the environment? How do we look at the life cycle of the product? How do we put your expertise on this topic and bring people together and help facilitate innovation around something that is very meaningful to me, and I think also very meaningful for the company that we have a lot of support from the leadership to commit to. And I think that's what bring me to joy, is to combine my passion, my ability, my strength with the responsibility that I need to take on and commit to a cause that I believe the value in.
Something I enjoyed the most was teaching other people about how we can reduce wasting food and just making a difference in our school and in the world.
Something I enjoyed a lot was how we got to work together, and as well helping out the environment and the school's needs as much as we could.
Yeah, thank you so much for providing that kind of illumination on what it is that keeps you moving forward and doing what you do. And something that I think really resonated probably to a lot of us was, what I was hearing over kind of here about kind of combating injustice and really working to, make that equity a goal. And I think that I'd love to hear more about, how you see that intersection of sustainability and equity in your life, and what that means for either your work or the people that you work with. So, Louis, if you'd maybe want to take that one
on. So the intersection to me, when you talk about sustainability and equity, the first thing that came to my mind is a word that we're hearing more today is about resiliencies, right? When you are facing the natural disasters, when you're facing a lot of challenges, that's when you see which community are falling behind in some of the sustainability infrastructure, as well as some of the equity resources. So definitely it's a area we're all trying to figure out how can we help improve within the community that we're working at. From my current perspective, the business that I'm working with, the power system with Kohler, they produce generators, right? The generator is what is used to power all the different home, all the industry, healthcare facility, data center when we are facing a power outage. But the challenge of the intersection in between is how do you continue to develop the solution while also keeping in mind of the environmental impact that come with producing those products, right? How can we create a new product that is, every new product that we revise is better version than the one before, while we are trying to provide a clean energy solution, while we try to invest in hydrogen fuel cell and battery storage solution for the business, how do we also look at the life cycle of the impact, environmental impact? How do we reduce the upstream and downstream value chain and use our relationship with the supplier and vendor to encourage other business to commit to some of the sustainability goal as well. So I think, yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind.
I think that's so important. I mean, it's so like inextricably linked, and so I love to hear that kind of mindset. And I think circling back to kind of intersections, we've been talking a lot this morning with the keynote about our role in social change. So, DeMonte, I'd love to know a little bit about if you could share some reflections on how you see the intersection of your roles and identities, and how you approach your work.
I guess I see one place where we have big intersections was also with so I got mentioned in the presentation, the other nonprofit that I actually started called Casa del Rainbow. We are looking to hopefully start a group home for LGBT youth that have been kicked out by their families, and looking at that's obviously an intersection with me being a gay man, being that a lot of times we look at especially LGBT folks of color tend to have greater risk of being kicked out of their homes and being on the street, and we want to try to combat that. Like, it's at first I remember going into that and thinking, back in like 2020 is right before the pandemic got in big, was it still going to be a thing? I remember thinking about that, and then I started looking at statistics, and I was like, okay, so may not have been in higher ed for a little bit and seeing all this stuff every day, but it's still a thing. Because I used to see it a lot more when I was working in that field. And so really, I guess being a little grateful that I didn't have to go through that, but I had some friends that went through that housing insecurity, which also led into a bunch of insecurities of food and being able to get their basic needs met. And so that's not only seeing this co-op model, which has also been awesome to possibly look at that as being something that going forward, once kids become like 18 and be able to do more things on their own, but giving them that second option. And also seeing just within MCC, we have a lot of LGBTQIA identified folks, and how it's given them a place to feel safe and to feel supported, and allow them to start to be themselves. And really that's, I see that as been an awesome thing, and something that I would like to see, working with my folks with Casa del Rainbow to try to get that to our place, so we can see youth being able to do that and be supported, and then being able to point them towards a direction where they can continue to be themselves, and then be able to participate in other things, like looking at some of the various things that are going on in their community, because their needs are, their basic needs are being met, so they can start to focus on other things that are important to them.
Thank you again just for all the wonderful work that everyone on this panel is doing. I think it's a great reminder of the communities we serve, and what we're fighting for. And I think we're all really excited to have youth on the panel today. And so I'd love to kind of check in with the students about what really motivated you all to get involved on your food waste project, and kind of thinking about how you became interested in sustainability. I'd also would think it'd be great if we'd be able to think a little bit about, or at least hear your thoughts on what you think we could do to get more youth involved in sustainability or just greater social change and justice movements.
Something that motivated me to do this was I wanted to make a difference at my school. And I think that if other students really care enough about a topic, then they can also make a difference in their schools and their communities as well.
Well, so for me, as a youth, we don't all know who we're going to be or who we want to be, how we're gonna like fit in to the world when we grow up. So if we can start making a difference now, then we could help our future generations. I mean, since it's such a long-term problem, there's really no time to waste. And if we can help convince other people in our communities, I mean, the world is just made up of communities. So if everyone makes a difference, then suddenly there's just huge change. And everyone can just live in a better world overall.
I want to just like add on. I wasn't going to talk, but like, it's too hard not to. And two, I think that a lot of it is that we're not talking about it enough. We're not talking about sustainability. Like I'm lucky I teach my 7th grade curriculum is life science, so I can fit it in, and I'm really passionate about it. There's also research that kind of what Aaron just said behind if youth do civic action as teenagers starting at this age, they're more likely to do it as adults. They're more likely to go out and vote. So we need to get students doing actual projects and outside of just the classroom. So even if it's within their school community, not just inside the classroom. Like it has to be a bigger systems change, doing things, sharing and whatnot. And right now there is a Teach 10 like climate challenge for teachers going on by the National Wildlife Federation to teach 10 hours. They're asking teachers to teach 10 hours about climate change and sustainability and solutions. Right now, from the surveys, I think it's about 2 hours is what schools spend a year. So to get up to 10 hours, like I'm taking the challenge, I'm gonna do it. I know I will do it because I want to, but they don't even get to learn life science this year, so they're not going to talk about it as much. So how can we get that involved? And it's hard because you need to have a passionate educator to do it. And how do I spread my passion to other people, and how do I uplift my teaching group and partners to do these types of projects? It's a question I'm still grappling with, but I'm going to teach 10 this year, and I hope all of these students get involved in civic action in whatever way they find passionate in the future.
Yeah, I think it's really remarkable, to see young people get involved, and honestly, it is a huge impact, right? Like you have the data that shows, all the waste reductions that you've done, and I think that's really impressive and commendable. And I think just like diving in more to that project, I'm curious, what was something that may have surprised you as you all worked on that? Was there something unexpected that you learned?
I was surprised at like how much food we saved and how much food we were capable of actually saving instead of just throwing it away. And that like a small group of kids can make such a big difference in a school and community.
I was surprised at just how big the project would become, from it just being like a school project for the year to winning awards like this one.
Yeah, and to some of our awardees who work in housing or building efficiency, do you guys have anything that maybe our audience, it might be surprising for them to learn about, your field?
I would say one of the things that surprised me going into it, well, initially it was cost. It was when trying to retrofit a 94-year-old house for to have a variant refrigerant system going from radiators. After I got over that shock, then it was just how even in smaller ways with some of our other houses, we changed Prez was working a lot in helping too, was to switch them over to have like air conditioning, and how like a central air system versus having window air conditioners, and how that was because those have gotten more energy efficient over time, the central air units, how much their bills were going down. People were noticing, $40, $50 right that first month, and then it was continuing to go down even though the temperature was going up. So it was kind of surprising at that, because most people would think that that would be a cost increase. It was actually saving them significant amounts of money, as well as reducing their energy consumption that they were using. And so it's really, that was kind of surprising to me. And then it's going to be interesting once we get this new system up and operational to see how that compares to the old school systems that, a lot of people say, oh, I really like this thing, I'm going to keep it forever. And it's like, well, maybe we'll show you how this can be different.
Yeah, there's always so many places to improve, and I think I would also like to give Lewis a chance to kind of talk about, on that note, what you think the most substantial challenge the people that you serve in Madison are currently facing, and how you think that challenge or those challenges can be remedied.
I think kind of following the line, what Demonte was saying, one of the challenge is we are putting a roadblock for ourselves before we actually seen what's actually standing in front of us, right? The cost is one of the motivator for a lot of the bigger construction project, and I work in construction industry as well, and I know that oftentimes that's the only thing they see, but it's also rely on us to present the right information, right? Instead of just showing you what is the upfront capital investment, this is what the lifespan of the environmental impact when you choose this product over the other. So I see great potential when introducing the right information to the right decision maker, and help them to understand what is the impact is a very important piece. And tying back to my work, being, leading some of the sustainability discussion, trying to encourage a group of engineers to think in a different mindset. I think there's challenge of when everybody is overwhelmed with words, stretched very thin. To some people, it may seem like the sustainability is an extra task to add on your plate. But what I'm trying to change is it shouldn't be. It should be a new way of you approaching a problem. When you are thinking of, let's say, doing a cost reduction project, the environmental impact, reducing the material use, there's synergy in between, right? When you're trying to reduce the material, you're reducing environmental impact, and you're also reducing the cost. So trying to motivate people to change their mentality, approaching sustainability challenge as part of how do they currently solve problem. I think it's one of the challenge that we.
And if it would be okay if I added to that a little bit, I'd just like to say that I feel like a lot of people don't realize that there's a big community that's willing to support them and wants to help them make a change. They just maybe think it's too much work or it's too expensive. But there's lots of people willing to support them and just help out with making a difference.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. I feel like oftentimes, sometimes a question I ask myself is, am I doing enough? Is this volunteering event that I organize trying to help, is it sufficient? Is it substantial, right? But I think sitting here is a great example to see that there are so many people within our community are so passionate about this topic, and we want to do things together. I think it's, which is, I personally really appreciate the work that Dane is doing, is creating the channel to bring us together, to sit together at the summit, to learn together, creating a tons of different educational program to, share the knowledge with one another. And that's what powerful is, when you can collectively work as a group, you are more motivated, and you see a common goal that, like the shared value that we're trying to achieve through the ecosystem that we talked about this morning. I think that's what's the powerful part, is to empower those small acts and those meaningful intention, and it's like seed that will grow into a tree, when people get the opportunity to exercise them.
Well, I appreciate the shout out. I think I think weaving like we were talking about this morning and connecting is so integral to any work that is going to have widespread change. So I do appreciate all of those notes, and I think that it's definitely an important skill to have to just be able to reflect the way that we are and reflecting on the capacity we have to do the work we do. And I think kind of feeding into that, I would love to also hear from the students again, kind of about what skills they learned from their experience on their food waste project, just because I know that it's about sustainability, but there's probably so many, life skills that you picked up along the way. And I think the big question is, you were talking about, you want to make change now and you don't know where you're going to go in the future, but I'm just curious how you kind of see those new skills and lessons you learned are going to, influence you in the future and how you're going to be able to use that moving forward.
So one of the things that I learned was like how to compost and what you should be composting. So like I went home and I was talking to my parents about it, and they were saying like they were agreeing with me, and we started composting after that, and just it wasn't like we were just okay. Hold on. So we also noticed that we composted things that we knew we weren't going to eat, and we put it in one of our gardens outside. And we noticed that the soil was just healthier and better. But we also noticed that there was less overall food in the refrigerator that was just sitting there for weeks. So then we started buying less food that we didn't need to eat. And I feel like that's not really a skill, but it's something that I'm gonna carry with me when I grow up.
And just to continue on kind of that, it was just interesting to know that even small, what we think are small things, can really make a big difference. Just us starting this project and telling people about it, overall, over time, we could save hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of food from just getting wasted. And that's just in our school. It's just really interesting to see how even small actions that we do can really add up, and that, I mean, nothing in the right direction is too small. Any change is important, and just starting it's really the important part.
That's awesome advice. And I think, before we open it up to the audience here for questions, I just really wanted to check in with Fernando and kind of see if you had any lessons that you would, like to share with emerging leaders. I know you're, kind of taking on a new role, it's still the same field, but if you have any pieces of advice or takeaways.
My advice to everyone in the room and to the kids or young adults, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't want to insult you. I know everyone's cool, But is to genuinely, be genuine, be yourself. And I don't know about everybody, I've been, really mad for years about the injustice in the world. And I kind of channel that towards work that uplifts other people, because, having empathy for other people is really what matters, right? And you're not really just doing it for yourself. You're not just doing it, right, to save, food. You're doing it because, again, Black and brown people, access to resources and food, let's do everything we can to affect the biggest problems in the world. And it's great to see that there's a new generation growing up that's thinking about these things. But I mean, if you're mad about what's going on, really use it. don't feel defeated. A lot of the time, what people think is like, yeah, like you were saying, there are people out there that believe exactly like you do. It could be just at your workplace, and maybe you're like, I don't know, my boss isn't very cool. I better not talk about sustainability. Who knows? Just kidding. Probably not. Everyone's here. But it's important. Be a little bit loud. Be demanding in what you need to see for the world to be successful. We need to have a positive impact. We need to start viewing things from a broader lens of this is the real impact of saving food and making affordable housing quality. Like, we can make a huge impact on other people by really, looking at intersectionality and realizing all of our fights are for the same cause. Again, be loud and be mad and use your anger towards something positive, everybody. But yeah.
So what I'm hearing is be a disruptor. So yeah, before we move on to closing remarks for the panelists, I would love to just open it up for Q&A from the audience. So I know we should have some microphoners. Yeah, Maggie's got it. So just raise your, Lorenzo does too. So raise your hand if you have a question, and they will come and find you. And yeah, feel free to ask all the panelists or just one.
Thanks, everyone, for all the work you've done. This is amazing. This is inspiring. I have a question, though, for the awesome teacher on the end. So you're talking about the 10 hours. You're talking about some people only using 2 hours. So how can we help you? How can we help you? Because we're all talking about community. How can we help you? How do we maximize that? You have a lot of experts in the field sitting in this room. How do we help you?
Come sub for us. Yes, please come. For real though, support your schools. We are stretched so thin right now, and I was told I couldn't come unless I could get a sub, and then my sub canceled 2 days ago, so it was super stressful. But my team is we'll figure it out. Right now, I think it's just support your schools. When there's referendums up, support having staff in the building. And those staff half the time aren't doing their job. They're subbing for teachers who are out sick or their kids are sick. So I think right now it's just support your schools. But reach out to teachers. Don't be afraid to do that. I've been working in Sun Prairie for 3 years, and I've done a lot of informal ed too. And I've never had one person ever reach out and be like, hey, I see you teach life science because that's on our website. Is that our 7th grade curriculum? Hey, I would love to do this with you. Never. For me, I would love to do something. I would love to partner with organizations, so come find me and do something, anything. And try something new with the students because I don't want what we're doing in the school be the only thing that we're doing. We can make a bigger impact, but I need help, and we're so focused on just getting through the school day that I don't have the time to go and find you. But some of you have the ability to, as part of your jobs, to come find us. So don't be afraid of middle school and high school teachers. We're there. Come find us. And if you have extra time, sub in the building and get to know us.
I'd like to know from the youth that as you leave, you've left 7th grade and you're going to a new grade, and it sounds like some of you are going to a new school. Do you, one, plan to keep this focus at your new school and try to help that school reduce waste in the cafeteria and all? Or two, because you've now seen that you can have an impact not only within your family or your school, but the awareness of your whole entire community, is there something that new that you would like to try to take on as a challenge?
Hate to keep boring you, but I mean, I would love to keep doing stuff like this. I just have to convince some of my friends to do it. But I mean, there's lots of things that we could do in our community that could help, like trash cleanup or food drives, any of those kind of things, because there are people who need that in our community, and maybe they just aren't getting enough of it. If we could do stuff to like reach out through our school or maybe outside of school, I would love to do that, but it would be nice to feel like we're making a difference in the community, which is why I'm just honored to be here and sitting with these people. But really, any opportunity would be amazing to help change energy or people's mindset.
Kind of like what Ms. Rivera said, like adding on to our project, finding ways to make it better and more effective would be really great, because 60% food waste reduction is a lot, but it could be more. So just like finding ways to do more in not only our school, but like in our city, in our state, in the country, really would be cool.
I'm not seeing any hands for more Q&A. Am I missing anyone? Just no. We're good to go. Okay. I just wanted to make sure everyone had the opportunity, and definitely feel free to email afterwards if you have any questions. But yeah, so I just wanted to say I'm feeling that. I hope I don't, or I think I can speak for everyone when I say I'm feeling very inspired, and you've given us all a lot to reflect on. But I'd love to just close out by asking each panelist or group of panelists to kind of give us what your call to action is to the people with us today. So why don't we start from the opposite end and work our way back to me.
So I would ask to work on just getting food that you need instead of just buying a bunch of extra things and be like, I'll make dinner later, and then you just never do, and you leave the food in your pantry or refrigerator. To just buy the foods that you know you need. So like with me and my family, we started making meal plans so we would know what food or ingredients we need to buy the week prior to. So there was less food waste in our house. And then if you have any extra fruits or vegetables, get decomposable bags from the grocery store. They're $2. Come on, I know you have $2. And then just throw your extra stuff in there, like your eggshells, fruits, vegetables, anything like that. And then you can honestly put them anywhere, but things like gardens work best.
I think a good question or a good thing to tell people is to just try, because you never really know how much you can reduce the food waste unless you try it out and see for yourself. Because you could say, oh, I'm not going to reduce anything, but then you're like, oh, I'll try it. And then when you try it, you're surprised about the results and how much you actually did. So just trying is also very helpful for yourself and a lot of people who could eat that food that's getting wasted.
Yeah, just to kind of add on, more cryptic is advice from me, but just generally, if you think something can help, just do it. There's no change too small. If something helps, then it all adds up. Don't be afraid to do something because it might not work. If it doesn't, that's okay. But if it makes a difference and it inspires other people to make a difference, then that's exactly the kind of thing that we need.
I found this panel very inspiring. I'm learning a lot from their courage as well. And it's a similar message I want to share with all of you is wherever you are within your organization, your community, you don't need a title of sustainability to do sustainable actions. You can start from small, right? Like Aaron mentioned, the most difficult part is to get something started. My husband and I, earlier this year, we invested in a composter for outdoors, and then now the winter come, we can't compost as fast as we like to. So now we try out the warm composting. So a little bit at a time, but share your story with your family, with your community. The power of the ripple effect, sharing your knowledge is very powerful. And so, yeah, just start from something small and start reaching out your impact to a friend, a meter, close friends and family to expand your impact through the people that you can influence. So, thank you.
I think kind of expanding on Lewis's call to action as well. You basically bring someone along for the ride, for the journey. Because I think about how I got involved in this project was meeting Fernando, and then we were like, hey, there's a job opening where I work, which was MCC at the time, and that's what kind of brought me along this journey. So for, since everyone out here is already working, it's like bring someone else for the journey that might seem to have a passion in something that might be, maybe it's not directly related, but it's something, like this could, go down this path, or this person could be helpful in this, because you never know what things are going to launch from that point.
Is it on? Yeah, I agree with Demonte. I think earlier I had mentioned my friend Skygia over there, who was the president at the time of MCC when we did this, and is now, I don't even know, doing too much. Working at the Liam Foundation in Rockford, and we've been discussing different ways to reach out to youth, because she currently works with youth in the high schools, and just talking about different things. You can talk about climate change, you can talk about tenants' rights. Kids they're not too young to know what sustainability is, and I think there's a lot of people feel intimidated by the nonprofit world, and by some of us, because maybe we're professional. It's a joke. I am almost 33. I'm wearing an earring, a single earring. Everybody, just saying, right? And I only have an e-bike. I don't have a car. My partner drives a Prius, which we refer to as the egg, because it feels like you're driving an egg down the road. It does. But I don't know. Here's my call to you is to look into the life of Marsha P. Johnson and realize what, I don't know if anybody here knows what the P in Marsha P. Johnson stands for, stood for. She's a fairly famous historical a black trans activist, but the P stands for Pay It No Mind. And why am I sharing that? It's because I think a lot of folks can get discouraged if someone in your life is like, sustainability, boo, gay rights, boo. I don't know why you'd be doing that, but whatever, you could, I guess, whatever. But pay it no mind. Continue to look for like-minded people and keep those people close. Those are going to be the people that are in your life forever. You don't have to have everybody like you. Not everybody in the room is going to buy in, but the right people, keep those around you and maintain those relationships. And, I find that just being kind to other people and maintaining my good relationships has improved my life greatly. And doing the right thing and meeting the right people has improved my life greatly. I'm very thankful to be here and to have met so many people, and I'm just very thankful and hopeful to see the younger generation. So, yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for your day.
Wow, well, thank you, and congratulations again. I know I found that conversation to be both rejuvenating and illuminating, so thank you for that. I also want to just congratulate and thank not only our awardees who are here, but a lot of our nominees who are in the audience. as well. Just wanted to thank you all for your dedication and being the positive change that you wish to see in the community. So thank you for that. And now I'm going to pass it off to Claire to give us some closing remarks for the day.
So we have come to the end of the Sustain Dane Summit and this wonderful day, this time we've gotten together. I hope that you all are feeling reflection and inspiration and connection. I know I surely am. As we wrap up today, please know that you do not need to leave right away either. You spend time meeting someone you may not have met, talking with some students, if you like talk with some students. Speaking of students, if you know other young people in your life that are interested in climate change, there is a high school climate action connection conference coming up later this month. So get them plugged into that too, so they can be with like-minded people and build that network. As we say at Sustain Dane, change happens when inspired people take action. So please go out and do good and support each other and support the community. Thank you.